In Schoology, such as assignments, assessments, or discussions, there's a few things to consider. In this window, I'm showing the Create Assignment window, but these same features will also be available when you're creating assessments or discussions. So first of all, you have a grading area or a description area where you can add directions to the students, any information. You can embed multimedia in here, such as videos, and audio. You can actually record directly in Schoology if you want to do a quick video or audio message to students. You can add links to files. So there's a lot that you can do just in this description area to provide information for the students. There's 3 different types of assignments that you can create in Schoology, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. It's important to always add due dates to anything that you assign in Schoology so it populates to the student calendar. In addition, you should add a category. So if you have your gradebook set up, you might have grading categories already set up. If you don't grade in Schoology and you don't have students submit assignments in Schoology, you can just leave the assignments listed as ungraded. That way they will still show up in the calendar, but you will not see them, and you won't see them in the gradebook, and there won't be any submissions from students. You can also assign rubrics, and you can create rubrics here as well. So if you've created rubrics, you can choose them from the list of rubrics you've created. You can also go ahead and create a new rubric right from this area. Rubrics can also be created in the gradebook section of the course. So you click on Grade Setup over in the left menu. More information will be considered about rubrics in the assessment section of this course. At the bottom where you have options, these are some important features to be aware of in Schoology. So first of all, I'm going to kind of start backwards, but the Copy to Courses allows you to take an assignment that you're creating in one course and just quickly copy it to any other courses that you teach. When you click that button, you'll get to see a list of your courses, and then you can just click on the ones that you want the assignment to also be posted in. This little icon here allows for comments underneath your assignment. So if you don't want students typing comments underneath the assignment, I would turn this off. Turning it on does give students an area where they could ask questions about the assignment, but you as the teacher would need to remember to go back and actually look at the comments. Grade statistics, you can enable or disable these for students to view. If you click this button to enable, it means that students will be able to see things like what was the highest grade and lowest grade on the assignment, what were the class averages. They won't see individual scores for their classmates, but they will get a general idea of how the class did on the assignment and how they compared to the rest of the class. This button right here is Publish to Students. This means that you can create assignments and not have them published to students, and then you can go back in and publish them at a future date. So you can, even if you've added a due date, if it's not published to students, it means that it won't show up in the course for students to view. If you unpublish something, it also will not appear in the gradebook. So if you create an assignment and you publish it so that students actually can see it and create the assignment, you don't want to unpublish it after the assignment has been completed. You would just, it will not be visible and accessible to the students after the due date anyway, but if you unpublish it from your course, it's also going to unpublish all the grades in your gradebook. So this is really a best option to use if you're creating stuff ahead of time, that you're just trying to get work done ahead, and you're going to unpublish for now and then just quickly publish before you want it to appear in the course. This icon right here is, do you want to enable submissions? Meaning, do you want the students to turn in their work via Schoology? If that's the case, you also have the option to grade the assignment in Schoology. And this is a nice time saver and a paper saver if you submit in Schoology. And I will discuss that in just a second. You can also lock assignments, which is similar to publishing, but if you've published something and you don't want to unpublish it, but you also don't want students to be able to open it. You can lock the assignment and it will appear on the timeline, but students will not be able to open it until you unlock it. And then finally, the individual assign section. Individually assign is a great tool if you are trying to provide makeup work for students, or you're trying to differentiate instruction. You can click on individually assign, and you can assign to, when you do that, you can assign to grading groups. You could assign to individual students who are enrolled in your course. So what you might want to do, if that's the case, is you would add the individuals here from your course, and if you have people enrolled in your course, this course I'm working in doesn't have any enrollments, but that when you click here, it will pop up for you to choose people to assign to, and you can, if you've created grading groups, you can also assign to specific grading groups. If you use individually assign, only those students who it is assigned to will see it in their timeline. No one else in the course will see those items. Different types of assignments that you can add in Schoology. First of all, if I just do an assignment and I don't click any of these boxes here, and I enable submissions, the assignment will appear like this. The assignment description will appear here. Now for a student, the student will be able to click over here and submit an assignment. They also will be able to click on anything that they've already submitted and continue to make changes on it until the due date. Once the due date has passed, the student will no longer be able to make any further edits to the assignment. From the teacher view, once there's a submission, you'll be able to click on the submissions. It will also note, once the due date has passed, it will also note if it was turned in late or on time. And I'll be able to view the assignment, open it up, view it. I'll be able to make comments to the student, either using text, or I can record audio or video comments for the students, and I can also attach files here for the students to see if I'd wanted to. If you were to create a Google assignment, what you would do is you would click on Google assignment types, and it will open your Google Drive for you to choose a file to assign to students. When you create a Google assignment, it actually gives you the option here. The default, what it'll do is it gives you the option to create a copy of that file for each student. So what does that look like from this? Well, from the student perspective, they'll open the assignment. It looks a little different because it'll automatically open the Google Doc that you shared and allow the students to edit the document, complete their work within the document, and then submit directly from within the document. From the teacher view on a Google assignment, you'll be able to click on In Progress, and you'll see a list of all the students in your class, and you'll be able to click on each student and see what they've typed and what they've done in the document even before they've submitted it. So you'll be able to check in with students, and you can also go ahead and hit comments and add comments to students as they're working. Once a student has submitted a document, you'll see their final submissions listed here. This is also where you'll come in to click on submissions to grade them. So I'm just going to come out of here for a second, and I'm going to show you one more option, and that is if you're assigning with Cami. Now, Cami is a third-party app that we have a subscription to. It is a Google Chrome extension, so you and all of your students will need to install this Google Chrome extension if you want to use Cami. But what I can do is that I can click on Cami and I can choose an assignment from my Google Drive, and I can choose any assignment type to be assigned via Cami. Now, Cami is a great tool because what it allows you to do is, what a student can do is open the assignment from Cami, and they have options to write and draw and mark up the document in any way that they want to. They can add math equations in here. You obviously can add shapes and drawings. You can actually even add multimedia into your document, such as videos and audio, so you can really take any document and bring it to life. It also does have a text-to-speech feature, but this is great for handouts that you want students to use. Maybe you have a document that's like a fill-in-the-blank. Students can now actually complete these assignments right online, and there's a turn-in button right within the document so that they can turn it in, and then it will be turned in just like any other assignment in Schoology, so that the teacher will then have the option to view that. The other nice thing is when you do turn in a Cami assignment, it is automatically saved into the student's Google Drive. So they'll always have a copy of the document in a folder in their Google Drive called Cami Assignments. You also have the option of creating an assignment, tests and quizzes, or assessments directly in the program. Tests and quizzes is the original assessment feature in Schoology, and assessment is the new one that they're still working on. Eventually, everything from tests and quiz will be integrated into the assessment feature. One thing about tests and quizzes, when you're assigning, you will add due dates to these as well, and you do have a lot of the same options here, like to individually assign, to publish to students, or to copy to courses. I'm just going to create a sample one here, because when you create a test or quiz, you're also going to get, you're going to come to this screen and you're going to get specific settings that you can also set up when you're developing a test or quiz. So you would put your instructions here, and again, you have that rich text editor to add multimedia, directions, links, etc. You would want to enable submissions when it's time to start the test. You can submit time limits on the test as well, and you can allow multiple attempts here. And there's some other options as well. So, like for instance, can students see their submissions? Can they have more than one attempt? Will the highest score count if they have multiple attempts? The one thing I do want to point out is if you're doing time limits in tests and quizzes, for instance, let's say you have a student with an IEP who might go to a testing center later in the day to finish a quiz. There is a limitation here, because in time limits in tests and quizzes, the timer keeps running even when you've left the test. So if I started in third period and then I closed the submission, the timer is still running. So that's a downfall. So if you're going to if you do have students that need extra time or that use the test center, it might be recommended that you actually convert your tests and quizzes into an assessment, which is actually really easy to do. You'll be able to import them into assessments. In assessments, the timer works the way you think it would, whereas when you leave the test, the timer stops and then the timer resumes once you open the test a second time. So this is what it looks like if I was to create an assessment instead of a test or quiz. And it is similar to the setup for test quiz. I would still have that rich editor to add my directions, and I still have the options here for time limits. This also gives you options to give tools for students to use during the test, like they could use rulers, protractors. There's also a lot of different types of questions and more options for types of questions if you're using assessments versus tests and quizzes. So in this section, we are going to have you use the discussion to talk about what types of materials do you assign in your courses, what are some tips and tricks that you've learned to make your life easier, and you can also list any specific questions that you have about assigning in Schoology, and we'll make sure that they get answered in this section as well.